All right, get ready because today we're diving into the world of Italian Airbnbs.
Sounds fun.
We've got two beginner's guides with us.
Okay.
One's super focused on branding and marketing, making the whole thing sound like a dream, right?
Yeah.
While the other takes, I'd say, a more realistic approach, kind of step by step.
Uh-huh.
So our mission today is to help you,
Right.
figure out if this is actually the right venture for you.
Yeah.
And if so, what are the really, really important things you absolutely have to consider?
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in that whole romantic image of Italy.
Right,
Rolling vineyards, charming villages, delicious food, all that.
of course.
But we need to be practical too.
Yeah,
This second guide really stresses that you need to start with detailed market research
makes sense.
before you even think about booking a flight.
Right, because assuming everyone wants to visit Italy is, well, a bit like assuming everyone wants gelato.
Yeah,
Some people might prefer a nice sorbetto instead, right?
exactly. And just like gelato comes in tons of flavors, Italy offers all sorts of different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't market a ski chalet in the Alps the same way you would, say, a beachside villa in Sicily.
Right.
Understanding what kind of traveler is drawn to each region is absolutely key.
So, like, Tuscany might be perfect for families looking for that classic Italian experience,
Yeah.
while the Dolomites could attract those more adventure-seeking travelers.
Precisely. But you've got to go deeper than that.
Okay.
Even within Tuscany.
Yeah.
Are you focusing on budget travelers, or are you going for the luxury seekers?
Right.
Or history buffs or foodies?
Right.
Each group is going to have different needs and expectations.
Oh, sure, for sure.
Absolutely.
And that's where finding the right property comes in.
Yeah.
Location, 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 right?
Absolutely. But both sources actually point out something even more critical.
Okay, what's that?
Italian legal complexities.
Oh, boy.
Specifically,
Okay.
these Locazione Turistica regulations.
Locazione Turistica? Yeah,
I'm guessing that's not in my little Italian phrase book.
probably not.
What are those all about?
Think of them as like the rules of the game for short-term rentals in Italy.
Okay.
The catch is they change depending on the region.
Oh, wow.
So for instance, like in Florence, you might need to register your property and pay some kind of tourist tax,
Uh-huh.
while, say, in a smaller village, there might be restrictions on how many days you can actually rent it out.
Interesting.
Some areas even ban short-term rentals altogether.
Wow. Okay, so before I fall head over heels for a charming villa overlooking the Amalfi Coast,
Yeah.
I need to make sure it's even legal to rent it out short term.
Exactly.
That's a reality check I wasn't really expecting.
And that's just the start.
Oh, no.
This second guide, the more realistic one,
Yeah.
really emphasizes that you need to do a financial feasibility study.
Okay.
And that means calculating all your startup costs.
Right.
Like, think about the property itself, any renovations you might need,
Uh-huh.
those infamous Italian real estate agents.
And, of course, any legal fees.
Okay, grabbing my calculator for this part.
Might need a glass of wine, too.
Sure.
You also have to consider your projected income
Mm-hmm.
based on occupancy rates, right?
Yeah.
And all your operating expenses. Remember, we're talking about running a business here,
Right?
not just enjoying la dolce vita.
So it's not all sunshine and gelato?
Nope.
More like spreadsheets and permits.
Exactly. And this is where things get interesting.
Okay.
What's your risk tolerance?
Oh,
Are you ready to invest serious time and money into this venture?
right. Right.
Because it can be a lot.
Okay, so both guides spent a lot of time on this idea of a unique selling proposition,
Yeah.
or a USP, I think they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, how do you make your Airbnb stand out
Yeah.
when there are so many other Italian villas and apartments out there?
It's a great question.
Right.
It's about more than just saying family-friendly or beautiful views.
Okay.
What unique experiences can you offer? Could you maybe partner up with local artisans for some kind of workshop?
Oh, interesting.
Or organize cooking classes
Yeah.
that focus on the regional cuisine?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Right.
Yeah, so instead of just giving people a place to sleep,
Right.
you're creating a whole immersive experience
Exactly.
that really reflects the region's unique character.
Exactly. Imagine this. You're staying in a historic apartment in Rome,
Okay.
and the owner, who's like a total history buff,
Yeah.
takes you on a personalized tour of some nearby ruins.
Wow.
That's an unforgettable story to tell back home, isn't it?
For sure, it's about curating an experience, not just renting a space.
Right?
Speaking of which, Source One talks a lot about setting clear house rules
Yeah.
and having effective communication channels with your guests.
Of course, that's essential, but I think you have to go even further.
Okay, how so?
Think proactive communication.
Right.
Anticipate what your guests are going to need.
Mm-hmm.
Give them local tips that go beyond the usual tourist traps.
Like what's...
Where's the best trattoria in the neighborhood?
Oh, yeah.
Or what are some hidden gems that even locals might not know about?
I love that.
Yeah.
So you're not just a host, you're kind of like a guide, a concierge,
Mm-hmm.
a friend who knows all the best spots.
Precisely. You're offering a little slice of authentic Italian life,
Right.
not just a place to crash.
Yeah, I like that.
Right.
Okay, so before we get totally lost in all the charm of Italian hospitality,
Yeah.
we have to talk about the less glamorous side of things.
I know.
Taxes and insurance.
The fun stuff.
Yeah, so Source 2 actually uses this term,
Okay.
cedolare secca,
Cedolare secca.
which sounds a little intimidating, to be honest.
Yeah, it's basically a specific tax regime for rental income in Italy.
Okay.
In simple terms, it's a flat tax rate that you can apply to what you're making from your rentals.
Okay.
And it can be really advantageous compared to those standard progressive income tax rates.
Gotcha. So potentially less paperwork and lower taxes.
Yeah, it can be a win-win for an Airbnb host.
Right.
But there are a few things to keep in mind.
Okay.
For example, cedolare secca only applies to certain types of properties and rental agreements. Plus, you need to understand how to apply it correctly when you're filing your taxes,
Makes sense.
which is why both guides really recommend getting advice from an Italian accountant.
So while I might be tempted to do my taxes myself,
Yeah.
it sounds like getting professional help is absolutely essential.
Especially for navigating something like cedolare secca.
Right, especially for that.
Absolutely.
What about insurance? Any specific types of coverage I should be aware of?
Yeah, insurance is super important,
Okay.
to protect yourself and your investment.
Mm-hmm.
In Italy, there are two main types you'll want to think about.
Right.
Property insurance and liability insurance.
Okay.
So property insurance covers your property
Yeah.
against damages from things like, fire, theft, natural disasters.
So kind of like insuring your own home, but for your Airbnb property.
Exactly.
Gotcha. What about liability insurance?
Liability insurance is there to protect you financially
Okay.
in case a guest gets injured on your property
Mm-hmm.
or if you're held responsible for any damages.
Yeah.
Imagine a guest slips and falls on a wet floor,
Oh.
or they accidentally damage a really valuable piece of furniture.
Yay.
Without liability insurance, you could be facing a lawsuit.
Okay, that definitely highlights the need for good coverage, for sure. It seems like figuring out Italian insurance is just as complicated as the tax system.
Oh, it can be.
Any advice on finding the right policies?
Your best bet is to talk to a good insurance broker,
Okay.
someone who specializes in short-term rentals.
Mm-hmm.
They can help you figure out your specific needs
Right.
and recommend policies that offer the right level of coverage for your property and your situation.
So just like with taxes, getting expert advice is key when it comes to all the legal stuff.
Absolutely, and that brings us to another really important point.
Okay.
Staying up to date on local regulations. Remember those Locazione Turistica rules we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Those can change.
Oh, great.
So you need to stay informed about any updates or amendments.
I imagine that can be tough, especially if you don't actually live in Italy full-time.
Yeah, it can be.
Any suggestions on how to keep up with those changes?
It's a good idea to subscribe to newsletters or online forums,
Okay.
ones that are specifically focused on short-term rentals in Italy.
Gotcha.
You can also check with your local municipality or region.
Right.
They usually have the latest regulations.
It sounds like running a successful Airbnb in Italy takes more than just, a love for the country and its culture.
Yeah, it does.
It needs a savvy business mindset,
Mm-hmm.
a willingness to learn,
Definitely.
and a real commitment to staying informed.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Awesome.
It can be a really rewarding venture for the right person,
Okay.
for someone who's really passionate about Italian hospitality
Yeah.
and about creating those unforgettable experiences for their guests. But it also requires a lot of diligence,
Mhm.
attention to detail,
Right.
and a solid understanding of, the legal and financial side of running a business in Italy.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive so far, from market research and finding the perfect property to understanding, Italian taxes, insurance, and all those local regulations.
It's a lot.
It really is.
Yeah.
As we start wrapping things up,
Okay.
I want to leave our listener with a thought-provoking question.
All right.
Imagine your ideal guest arriving at your Italian Airbnb.
Okay.
What's the unique story they're going to tell about their stay, thanks to you?
That's a great question.
What's going to make their experience truly special and memorable?
That's the heart of it all, isn't it?
I think so.
Creating that connection.
Yeah.
Sharing your passion for Italy and leaving a lasting impression on your guests.
Right. It's about offering them a slice of authentic Italian life.
Right.
Not just a place to sleep. So for anyone out there dreaming of launching their own Airbnb adventure in Italy, remember, it takes passion, preparation,
Absolutely.
and a healthy dose of La Dolce Vita.
For sure.
Ciao for now.
Ciao.
And may your Italian Airbnb dreams be filled with sunshine, gelato, and of course, success.
Sounds like a good plan.
I think so.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
All right.
Well, we've got a lot more to cover in our next segment. Should we grab an espresso and dive into those details?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, sounds good.
We'll be back with more insights into the exciting and sometimes challenging world of Italian Airbnbs.
Yeah, wait.
All right, see you then.
See you then.
My hosting or WooCommerce store earns me money all day, every day. I'm Gabrielle Scarlett, and by day, I'm a brand strategist and designer. Then by night, I have a side hustle of making social media template packs and selling them to small business owners on my personal WooCommerce website. Just like my client sites, I built my personal store with Hostinger and WooCommerce because it's easy and customizable, and honestly, it's really fun. I play with my site whenever I have the time, and with managed WooCommerce hosting, I can do everything I need to do. And if I ever need help, I can reach out to the super helpful, super friendly support team at Hostinger, no matter what hour of the day or night it is. Plus, with Hostinger, there's no concerns about my site's availability or security, and no hidden fees either, so I get more from every sale. Get started with your online store now with managed WooCommerce hosting from Hostinger. It's fantastic, and I would recommend it to anyone.
Okay, so we've talked about market research and those Italian legal complexities.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the exciting part, finding the perfect property.
Right, it's tempting to just get swept away by all those charming villas you see.
Yeah.
But our realistic approach guide really stresses
Okay.
understanding Italian property law first and the different ways you can actually acquire a property.
Okay.
Are you thinking about renting or buying? Each one comes with its own set of considerations.
I imagine navigating the Italian real estate market is, well, probably pretty different from what we're used to.
Yeah, it can be.
Any tips for our listeners on how to approach it?
First things first.
Yeah.
You really need to familiarize yourself with the Italian legal system and property regulations.
Right.
Working with a reputable local real estate agent is highly recommended.
Yeah, makes sense.
Someone who really understands the nuances of the market. They can guide you through the whole process,
Okay.
help you find suitable properties,
Right.
and navigate all the legalities.
It's like having a local guide,
Yeah,
but for real estate instead of sightseeing.
exactly.
Speaking of legalities, what about this Codis Fiscale I keep hearing about?
Oh, yes, the Codis Fiscale.
What is that?
It's your Italian tax code identification number.
Okay.
Basically, it's essential for any financial transactions in Italy. So, like buying or renting property, opening a bank account,
Oh, wow.
even signing a mobile phone contract.
So one of those crucial details that could easily slip through the cracks
Easily.
if you're not careful.
Absolutely.
Best to get that sorted out early on then?
As early as possible, yeah.
Okay, so you can apply for it online or through an Italian consulate.
Right, or an embassy in your home country.
All right, so let's say you found the property,
Yeah.
got your Codis Fiscale all sorted out,
Uh-huh.
and the paperwork is in order. What's next?
Time to unleash your inner Italian designer.
Oh, yeah.
Start decorating.
Okay, I'm ready.
Well, hold on just a second.
Oh,
Our budget-conscious guide actually emphasizes
okay.
prioritizing essential renovations first,
Okay.
for guest comfort and safety.
Right, so before we get carried away picking out Tuscan-inspired tiles,
Yeah.
we need to make sure the plumbing and electrical and heating systems are all good to go.
Exactly. No one wants their romantic Italian getaway ruined by a leaky faucet.
No, for sure not.
Focus on creating a space that's functional and comfortable for your guests.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've got the essentials covered,
Yeah.
then you can start thinking about aesthetics.
Okay, and luckily, Italy is like a haven for design and craftsmanship.
It is.
So finding beautiful, affordable furniture and decor shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, sourcing things locally is a great idea.
I love that, incorporating those local elements into the design.
For sure.
What about those little touches that can really elevate the guest experience?
Oh, yeah.
Like I don't know, a welcome basket with some local treats.
Loved that.
Or a guidebook with personalized recommendations for, I don't know, restaurants or hidden gems.
Those personal touches make a huge difference.
Right.
Think about what would make you feel welcome and at home in a new place. And don't forget about the essentials.
What?
Wi-Fi, a well-equipped kitchen, comfortable bedding.
Right. The basics.
Yeah, you want your guests to feel pampered and relaxed.
Absolutely. You're not just providing a place to sleep.
You're creating a whole experience.
Exactly.
And that brings us to another important aspect highlighted in both guides.
Okay.
Communication with your guests.
Yes, communication is key throughout the whole process, from the initial inquiry to that final checkout. Be responsive, be helpful, be proactive in addressing any questions or concerns your guests might have.
I'm sensing a theme here. Being proactive seems crucial for success as an Airbnb host in Italy.
You're absolutely right. Anticipating those guests' needs,
Right.
going the extra mile to make sure they're comfortable and happy,
Yeah,
that can make all the difference.
I like it.
Think of yourself as like a virtual concierge,
Oh, okay.
offering personalized recommendations and insider tips.
Right, so it's not just about providing a clean, comfortable space.
Yep.
It's about building a connection,
Exactly.
fostering that sense of genuine Italian hospitality.
I love that.
Now, once you have your property all set up and ready to go,
Yeah.
how do you actually get those bookings rolling in? That's where the online world comes in.
Okay.
Both guides emphasize the importance of creating a compelling Airbnb profile.
Right.
Something that showcases your property's unique features and really grabs the attention of potential guests.
I've heard that high-quality photos are essential
Oh,
for
absolutely.
standing out in that crowded Airbnb marketplace.
They are.
Any tips on how to capture those perfect shots?
Think about what drew you to the property in the first place.
Okay.
Highlight those unique features.
Yeah.
Stunning views, charming details, the
Yeah.
cozy ambiance.
Right.
Natural light is your friend. So try to schedule your photo shoot during the day when the sun's shining.
Gotcha. And I imagine the property description is just as important.
Oh, for sure.
How do you craft like a compelling narrative that really entices people to book?
Don't just list the features.
Okay.
Tell a story. Capture the essence of the experience. What makes your property special?
Right.
What kind of traveler would feel most at home there? Don't be afraid to inject some personality into your writing.
So it's about selling that dream,
It is.
that unforgettable Italian experience,
Yeah.
while still being transparent and accurate in your descriptions.
Absolutely.
And once you have that amazing profile, you need to master the art of managing bookings effectively.
That's a whole other skill set.
It is.
Right.
What are some key things to keep in mind when it comes to managing all those bookings? All right, so we've talked about creating a fantastic Airbnb profile.
Yeah.
We even touched on managing bookings a bit.
Right.
But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's tackle the not so fun but super important stuff.
I know.
The financial and legal side of things.
The nitty-gritty.
Exactly.
It's gotta be done.
It does.
Yeah.
So let's revisit that term that had us reaching for our dictionaries.
Oh, yeah.
Cedolare secca.
Cedolare secca. It's a mouthful.
It is.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it's a specific tax regime for rental income in Italy. But to be honest, the details are still kind of fuzzy for me.
Okay. Yeah, it can seem complicated at first, but it's actually pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Basically, Cedolare secca lets you apply a flat tax rate to your rental income.
Oh.
Often it's around 21%, which can be a lot better than those standard progressive income tax rates,
Right.
especially if you're in a higher income bracket.
So less paperwork and potentially lower taxes.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good deal for an Airbnb host.
It can be,
Yeah.
but there are a few things to watch out for.
Okay, like what?
So, for instance, Cedolare secca only applies to certain types of properties and rental agreements.
Gotcha.
Plus, you really need to understand how to apply it correctly when you're doing your taxes.
Right.
Which is why those guides we talked about,
Yeah.
they really stress getting advice from an Italian accountant.
So even though I might be tempted to do my taxes myself,
Yeah.
it sounds like getting professional help is really essential.
Especially for something as complex as Cedolare secca.
Especially for that.
Yeah.
What about insurance? Any specific types of coverage I should know about?
Yeah, insurance is crucial, to
Right.
protect yourself and your property. You'll want to consider two main types in Italy:
Yeah, okay.
property insurance and liability insurance.
All right, so property insurance, what does that cover?
That one covers your property against damages.
Yeah.
From things like fire, theft, natural disasters, that kind of thing.
So basically like insuring your own home, but for your Airbnb.
Exactly.
Okay. What about liability insurance?
Liability insurance is there to protect you financially.
Okay.
If a guest happens to get injured on your property,
Right.
or if you're held responsible for any damages.
Oh, okay.
Think about it. What if a guest slips and falls on a wet floor?
Oh, no.
Or accidentally damages a really expensive piece of furniture?
Right. That could be bad.
Yeah. Without liability insurance, you could be looking at a lawsuit.
Okay, so definitely need to make sure I've got that covered.
Yeah.
It seems like figuring out Italian insurance is, well, about as complicated as the tax system.
It can be, yeah.
Any advice on finding the right policies?
Honestly, your best bet is to talk to an insurance broker.
Okay.
Someone who specifically deals with short-term rentals.
Right.
They can assess your needs and recommend the right policies.
So just like with taxes, getting expert advice is key.
Absolutely.
And that actually brings us to another important point.
Okay, what's that?
Staying up to date on those local regulations.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Remember those Locazione Turistica rules we talked about?
Of course.
Those can change, right?
They can, and they do.
So we need to stay informed.
It's important.
Yeah.
Especially about any updates or amendments.
That can be tough, though, especially if you don't actually live in Italy full-time.
Can be a challenge.
Any suggestions on how to keep up with those changes?
Well, you could subscribe to newsletters or online forums.
Okay.
Ones that are specifically about short-term rentals in Italy. Or you can always check with a local municipality or region.
Good idea.
They usually have the most up-to-date information.
Okay, so it sounds like running a successful Airbnb in Italy
Yeah,
takes a lot more than, just loving the country and the culture.
it does, yeah.
You need a good business sense. You need to be willing to learn.
Absolutely.
And you need to stay informed.
You got it.
You really hit the nail on the head there.
Thanks.
It sounds like it can be a rewarding venture, though,
It can be, yeah.
for the right person.
For sure.
Someone who's passionate about Italian hospitality and
Yeah.
about creating those amazing experiences for their guests.
Absolutely, but it does require diligence, attention to detail,
Right.
and a solid understanding of the legal and financial side of running a business in Italy.
Absolutely. Well, we've covered so much ground in this deep dive,
Yes.
from market research and finding the perfect property
Yeah.
to, navigating Italian taxes and insurance and all those regulations.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's all important stuff.
It is, for sure.
So for anyone out there dreaming of starting their own Airbnb adventure in Italy,
Yeah.
just remember,
Okay.
it takes passion, it takes preparation, and it takes a healthy dose of la dolce vita.
I love that.
Me too.
So true.
Well, ciao for now.
Ciao.
And may your Italian Airbnb dreams be filled with sunshine, gelato, and of course, lots of success.
That sounds like a plan I can get behind.
I think so too.